anybody in the audience relate with what I'm saying about calculator time and that being a bad thing?
If you're not okay with that, if you're just seeking triumph, if you're like, okay, like if you're doing the math, right? If the calculator app is the most popular app on your phone because you keep multiplying like your equity stake by like the value of the company and you're doing all these different scenarios. By the way, for most VCs, for a lot of like startup employees, LinkedIn's not the most popular app. It's a calculator app, right? You're calculating all these things. You're calculating carry. You're doing all these things. And so like if you find yourself doing that over and over again, you're probably in the wrong business line because you're not doing it for the right reasons. Right. I'm happy to say I haven't opened the calculator app in a long time.
I'm embarrassed to say that I have, not recently, but like, and whenever I do, nothing good has happened. When I forget about the calculator for like 2 years and I look back, I'm like, oh, we're in actually a pretty good place now. Yeah. But when it's like calculator time, it's like it never
calculator
plays
time
out.
is not a good
Never
time.
plays out how the calculator says it did, you know? Welcome back to Unfuck My Startup. We have a guest today who, by all accounts, has defied the conventional VC playbook. You know, I love that. As far as I'm concerned, there's like AI companies and one other VC success story right now, which is Clay, and everybody else is fucked, at least that I talk to. So I'm really excited to dive into this story about what Pukar Hamal did. He raised $21 million in a seed round from one of the best firms in the world, Craft Ventures, and then he ignored 100 more VCs begging for follow-on rounds because he did what every VC fears most. He became profitable, baby. We love that. Pukar Hamal, welcome very much to the show. How are you doing, my man?
I'm doing well, Adam. I'm happy to be on I don't want to say the word, but yeah. Your
I'll say it
show.
for you. You're happy to be on Unfuck My Startup. I like that you don't want to say the word. That speaks to your character, and I have a lot of respect to that, even though I have a potty mouth. And you know, before we start, Pete, you asked me if I just spent 5 days in the woods.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard. I heard you were going off the grid. You sent Pukar and I an email, said, hey, here's what I'm thinking for the show next week. I'm not going to be around until Sunday. I'm going into the woods. So how was that experience?
So audience, has anyone ever done solo hikes in nature where you see no one for like over 3 or 4 days? Not solo. Has anyone done a solo? Pukar, have you ever done a solo in nature?
No, I'm not that risk seeking, unfortunately. Like
Thomas, how was that experience? Well, Nina, my wife actually came and camped 2 miles away from me and did it. If you have bear spray, you're pretty safe. Who said yes? So Richard Purcell, yes. Richard, what was your experience? Just type it in. And meanwhile, I will tell you what my experience is. I've done it 4 out of the last 5 years. Usually I do 6 days, 5 nights. This one was a little bit shorter because I just have a lot going on right now. My experience is that it's unbelievably therapeutic because just being in nature is like the most grounding and calming thing ever. It's like this sort of metaphor about meditation in general. Not that I'm meditating the whole time, but like your brain is like a glass of salt water and meditation makes all the salt water fall to the bottom. That's exactly how I feel when I'm like out there for a long period of time. And then for me, it allows me to think deeply about things that I would never be able to give space to in my normal life. For example, I have a 3-year-old daughter. I appreciate her a lot more when I am away for 5 days than when she's tormenting us in our normal life, as an example. And I'm not sure if everybody is aware of this, but the RB2B team is at the same time, we're all disappearing, going off the grid, not available on cell phone for 5 days in a row from August 25th to August 29th. Does everybody know that, first of all? AI is going to run our entire business. The 3 employees of RB2B will be fucking gone. Audience, are you aware of that? That August 25th RBDB will be the first company ever to run itself. Nina, you are now. Okay, cool. So first of all, Pukar, what do you think about that?
I mean, as somebody that runs like a security company, that's like where I go. Like, who's gonna be doing security for your company? Is it gonna be AI? Because
Nobody.
all right, well, you've heard it, here. If you have any fun ideas for when they're gone for 3 days.
Yeah. So mark your calendar. If you want to try to hack us, do it between or August 25th and August 29th. And by the way, like, we were really early on Fin, but I was like major AI illiterate until about 6 months ago. I think Pete like was much more AI literate than me. And then I had this epiphany. I don't even remember what it was, but I remember going to Pete and being like, oh, now I get it. And then we've kind of gotten to this point where, we have a self-serve PLG product. It's not a complex sales cycle. So I just made a clone of myself and it replaced the salesperson, and we're growing faster than we were before, which is pretty remarkable. Here's the revenue dashboard for RB2B. So anyway, if anybody in the audience is curious as to exactly what the journey was to go from not AI at all to we're leaving for 5 days and AI is going to handle all of our sales support and dev. I have spent the last 2 weeks building a guide. Sign up to this Google form. Tomorrow, I believe it'll be tomorrow, maybe it'll be Thursday. You will start getting a 7-part drip series describing our entire journey at RB2B to this autonomous state that we are going to very recklessly enter. on August 25th.
So if you want support, or maybe if you're looking to install a new integration with RB2B, maybe hold off until that last week. Install your HubSpot, see how you can get through. So yeah, you're using Fin, and then you're using that Delphi sales app, right? Kind of on
That's basically it.
marketing.
And there's some foundational things that are maybe not obvious to everyone, probably obvious to some people, that are just critically important to making all that work. And then we go through our process of like iteration, basically. So that's what that series is. Please sign up. But let's get back to the show. That was a long aside.
All right. What we're gonna do, let's do the pitch slap first. We have Patrick Spielman from Lead Engine AI. He's gonna come up, he's gonna pitch the audience, and then we're gonna get into our discussion with Pukar. I also am still new with the production side, so Patrick, I'm coming, man. I'm going through all the thing. There we go. And that'll take 1 second. Also, Nina said in the chat we should have your wife on, Adam. Does Helen want to be a guest on Unfuck My Startup?
Helen, yeah, Helen would be a guest. Did the person, by the way, did the person who asked that, do you remember these videos that Helen and I did in 2020, the Get Emails videos, or are you just curious about her in general? No? Okay.
Maybe she could be
Helen and
you for Halloween. That could be good.
Yeah.
RB2B hoodie, dye the hair.
Yeah. We can have Helen as a guest for sure. She'll come on.
Okay. But right now we got Patrick. Patrick, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, good. How are you, Pete?
Good.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for calling in. Where are you calling in from?
I am in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area.
Right on.
What's up, Patrick?
Hey, Adam, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for coming on.
I did watch some of your get emails videos on your YouTube channel and thought they were hilarious. So
yeah, I had a lot of fun with those. So did Helen, actually. Yeah.
I didn't see them in ads though, but yeah, they were great, especially the ones with the wigs.
Yeah,
those are the best ones.
Man, we did Donald Trump one. It was just so amazing.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome. Well, yeah, now's the time to roll. I appreciate you guys having me on. So do a little intro. I'm Patrick. I'm the founder of Lead Engine. It's my second bootstrap SaaS. Adam might find this a little bit funny. I bootstrapped initially just partially by choice, partially because I got rejected from Y Combinator 4 times. So that was real fun. So now I just sell cheap software.
Yeah. By the way, I have applied to Y Combinator several times too, and have not gotten back so much as like hey, thanks for the email. We'll get back to you. Like,
yeah, never even a single interview.
Into the vacuum, into the void.
Yeah. So yeah, kind of tell you about Lead Engine here. A few months back, before we built Lead Engine, one of my existing users of our old software, Told me, Patrick, I'm using Upticks, I'm using Instantly to warm and send emails, I'm using Clay for enrichment, ChatGPT for copy, Apollo to find leads. Still can't get positive replies, spending over $1,000 a month in tech. Um, and after hearing this from just like a number of users and customers, we decided to build Lead Engine. As everyone knows, outbound's gotten a little bit more complicated, a lot more expensive. You stitch together 5 different tools, pray your emails land in the inbox, hope the messaging converts, and still people get stuck at 1 to 2% reply rates, wasting a bunch of time on a bunch of grunt work, draining budgets. So when I built Lead Engine, I wanted to solve basically 3 main problems that we saw with thousands of our past users. The first was what's called a private sending infrastructure, where people are right now unknowingly sending emails from the same IP addresses as spammers, which hurts your sending reputation, email conversions. People like Taylor Heron use this kind of infrastructure. I know obviously Taylor's been on the show and whatnot. The second thing is AI-powered copy that doesn't sound like a robotic ChatGPT mass email, something that writes context-aware copy using deep research, proven frameworks, all in a single workflow without, any, 47-step N8N, connections. And then the third was waterfall enrichment, research, validation, list cleaning, all built into one tool without, complex tables, CSVs, webhooks, that kind of stuff, and at a price that doesn't break the bank. So since launching more recently, our unlimited and lifetime plans have been really picking up steam. We've signed 193 new customers. We had everything from customers sending high volume, getting 5% reply rates and 1,500 replies in just a few weeks, to customers who send a lot lower volume, who had never received a positive reply with cold email before. Now have generated, 50 positive replies in just a few weeks, close their first deal, that kind of stuff. So it kind of ranges. But that's Lead Engine in a nutshell.
Sick. How much does it cost? What's the what's the lifetime license?
The lifetime is $149.
That doesn't even make any sense at all.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you're saying is this is Amy Griffin here. You're combining all these tools, Clay, Smart Lead, Hey Reach, or whatever, and it's $149 for the entire life of anyone.
Yeah, not Hey Reach. So we're all focused on email channel. That's the lifetime plan. So that's kind of our version of your free RB2B. So to get people in, super cheap, still paying something. And then, so they're a little bit more limited. And then the unlimited plans are more or less unlimited usage. They start at $79 a month. So
Sick.
yeah.
62%. Are we going to get above 66%? We're going to buy. Come on, guys. Okay. Who wants a demo from Patrick? Type demo in the chat. Demo,
two
or I'll
weeks
just
ago we
buy this.
had the
It's
we
demo.
broke the record
There's
2 weeks.
Zach. What's up, Zach? Haven't seen you in a while. This is the most demos ever. This is going to be like, Pukar, this is what we love about RB2B, or what I'm fucking my start. We'll do this for you too, by the way, because a lot of people are going to want to demo your software after we tell them what you do. This is going to be an all-time. This is definitely, I think
I don't even think I can count these.
yeah. I don't think we can count them. B, I don't think Patrick has this many slots in his calendar. Is it possible
I'll
to
make
have
time.
more demo requests than attendees? Or is that a mutually exclusive concept?
I love that. So I will mention we do have, I'm happy to do demos. When you do sign up for a trial, there's no credit card. You can schedule an onboarding call in the app. It's a group onboarding. Hop on, so I kind of do a one-to-many sort of thing and help people with anything. Happy to do it there, but happy to meet one-on-one as well.
Yeah, well, that was Jed's idea. So how about, yeah. How about, dude, Patrick, between now and the end of the show, come up with some form for people to pop their email address into. When you drop it, we'll remind them. Also, like, drop your LinkedIn or your email address in there so they can hit you up, because you don't want to miss anybody. But yeah, a group demo is a great idea with that.
I'll drop my contact info right now.
Yeah.
I'll grab one of the forums and my LinkedIn, where everyone can. I'm really bad at managing my LinkedIn connections, just FYI, but
you're telling me, buddy. I have
like
1,000 sitting there.
Yeah. Really good at sending them though.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, well, I think we're over 30 demos, which is cool. Somebody count them as 25. That's a really successful pitch slap. Everybody wants lead gen. Seems like you're in the right market for our crowd. For sure.
Patrick, thank you for coming up, my friend. We'll send you some swag. We'll connect via email right after this. Make sure you get all these demos too. Folks, if you would like to pitch next week, producer@rb2b.com. send me an email. I will check it out. I try to, the goal here is to bring up folks whose ICP is kind of our audience. So Patrick, obviously hit that on the nose.
Boom.
And I'm going to figure out how to remove them. There we go. All right. So, and just as a reminder, before we get into the combo, guys, recording goes live on YouTube tomorrow. I'll drop in our YouTube playlist right here, right into the chat. And I believe next week we're off from the summer series, Adam. You and I are going to be back in our offices, back to a more professional production of this. But this has been fun. I would say this has been fun.
Does everybody want to see my standing desk? Check it out. You see that? It's a pile of books on a chair on a table in this like junk room that my daughter sleeps in. There you go. It's a little bit different than the home studio.
Dude, IKEA would sell that for like $600. That's
Yeah.
Instruction.
All right. Put chair on table. Go get books.
All right. Let's get into it. So, Pukar, thanks for joining, my friend. And yeah, that's the beginning. That's the audience segments of the show. Let's talk about SecurityPal before we get into your VC journey. So there's a lot of founders, salespeople who are watching. They know the pain of getting those security questions.
Yeah. So first of all, I want to walk through this vividly because I've felt it so many different times in my startup journey. So it's like you start a SaaS, you're selling it for like $9. Then all of a sudden you're like, okay, if I add these 3 features, I can sell it for $1,000 a month. And then by doing that, somehow word of mouth gets out and like Samsung comes in. They're like, I want to be able to identify my site visitors. And you're like, holy shit, like Samsung is going to buy retention.com and they're probably going to pay us like $50,000 a month. And they would love to. And then it happens. You get sent this security questionnaire that you open. And this is just, I know because this has happened to me several times. I don't even know what these questions mean. I have absolutely no idea what our policy is about this shit, right? And even if I spent my entire week filling this out and like talking to Tate about what to say, it would probably take longer than that. It would take half of Tate's time, all my time. And then you probably don't even get the deal. Let's be honest. So, Pukar, does that pretty accurately describe why you started SecurityPal?
Yeah, I mean, that describes my initial experience and why I decided to. I got so the joke is I got so frustrated doing questionnaires in my last startup that I just decided to do them for everybody.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I remember this vividly where like this was like circa 2018, I was I was a co-founder of this like HR tech company. We were going up against LinkedIn for some like referral recruiting tool. And then we basically were about to close this like really large deal that was going to change like the trajectory of the company. We're all excited, like champagne is on ice, there's like people are ordering pizza. It's like a few days left in the quarter. I'm like refreshing my email for the DocuSign. We've all been there, right? Like refresh, like pull down.
Yeah.
And then, I think I get a DocuSign, but instead I got like this like file and I double click it open. It's like literally 200 questions in a docx.
Yeah.
And I'm like, literally like, what the F is this? Like, and it's like questions like, do you have barbed wire around our data centers? And I'm like, wait, what? Like what barbed wire, what data center? Like this whole thing is like on AWS. It turns out AWS actually has barbed wire around their data centers if you actually like, look into it, but like you don't need to worry about those sets of questions. Asked about like our anti-slavery policy, asked about just like all these like different acronyms and rules across like APAC. And I'm just like, am I gonna like go to prison if I like answer this wrong? Like it also gives you like it also sounds like really risky. It's like all like legalese speak and it's just like, oh my God. So, and then I looked at a bunch of tools out there in the market and the biggest problem with most tools was like they were like, hey, yeah, like we've solved this problem. And I'm like, cool, like show me. And it's like, you will log into my software and do it yourself in our UI. And I'm like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, no, I don't want to do them. Like, I'd rather spend time with my family. I'd rather spend time with my customers. I'd rather watch like Netflix than like literally log into some software to answer questions over and over again. It
Right.
sounds like the most dystopian thing ever,
Ever. So George is laughing his ass off because he's felt it. I want to know, audience, has anybody else besides George experienced what I described and what Pukar just described? Let me know. This feeling of absolute euphoria that is shattered. It is just shattered beyond all devastation by this absurd security questionnaire. So, and by the way, Pukar, I had your experience too, where I was like, dude, there has to be someone solving this problem. Like, this is it's kind of repetitive, but not really. But like, and then you go to these softwares, and literally, it's like, okay, pay us $50,000 a year, and instead of sending a spreadsheet back to them, you get to do it in our UI, and it sends a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
it's like, what is that?
Yeah, exactly. And like the biggest thing with a lot of the companies in this space is because so many of them are like venture backed like to an insane amount. They all want to like basically use you as a growth hack. So like what that means is they want you to fill out the Samsung questionnaire in their portal. So you send it back to Samsung in their UI, which then means like, oh, maybe Samsung would be interested in like sending questionnaires. It's like everybody
Yeah.
thinks they're gonna build like a network effects business, and they all think it's like a secret. They're like, shh, like don't tell anybody. Like we're gonna be like the network effect company that just like takes over. And it's just like, no. Solve the problem for the customer. Stop trying to use them as a growth hack. What do
Right.
they need? They need the questionnaire completed. So, in the beginning, it was just me filling out questionnaires. So when we won Airtable as a customer, I remember them telling me, like, hey, it's great. Like, I'm glad we're using your software. Like, can we get a login? And I'm like, what login? There's no login. Like you're gonna forward me the empty questionnaire. You're gonna go to bed, and then in the morning, it will come back completed. It
Yeah.
You will never have to log into software again. I don't understand what obsession we have as humans of like needing access to software, but like
Yeah.
there's like literally like the document is empty
Yeah.
and then it becomes completed. Like that is where we need to go to. We've always had this like job done mindset, not like a faster horse, like something completely new. And that's what we've built. So, and there's all these like AI tools that we're working with some of the best AI companies today. And even they realize that like, okay, I could have the AI answer the questionnaire, but then I'm still like double checking all the work and making sure it's not like completely hallucinating a policy that doesn't exist or like hallucinating like a CISO that doesn't exist or something like that. That kind of stuff happens with AI all the time. And so we built a lot of like in-house tools. Like we use like cutting edge AI, but like our advantage is we've got a team of like, 250 people that are experts in doing this. We've answered over 2.5 million questions. And we've got a dedicated like security operations command center in Kathmandu that operates 24/7 that basically like is just dedicated to solving the problem of security questionnaires for some of the largest enterprises in the world. And after doing it for 4 or 5 years now, what's allowed us to have this sort of like flywheel of success is we've pretty much answered every questionnaire imaginable. Like we've seen it all. The Samsung one we've done like half a dozen. So that just allows us to like just onboard companies in a much better way and just solve this problem at scale. And now we're trying to offer solutions down market, like for everybody here, we're just going to give away, if any of you guys want like a trust center or like a basic way to like fill out a questionnaire, just go to freetrustcenter.com, sign up, and we'll just give you some parts of our tool for free. Because, if you're getting like one or two of these a quarter or a year, you don't need to, you don't need SecurityPal. But if you're getting like 2 to 3 a month and it's starting to be like a real pain, that's when it really makes sense to invest in us. Yeah.
Totally.
There's a
I
really
want to
good
just like,
question.
can I pivot this conversation for like 1 second before we
Sure.
go back so something that you did, which I love, and I think more founders should do, and this is not related to SecurityPal itself. It's like, if you were to ask me like, how would I start a successful startup? I would first be like, you got to make sure that people are in some kind of pain. And then before you write a line of code, if you can actually just do what the code's going to do manually, even if it takes you 5 hours per fulfillment, and see if you can deliver that before you start building anything, it's like the best way. It's just the best way to find out whether you're on the right course or not, right? Because it's just like so easy to spin yourself up and you write all this code and you make this tool and then like no one actually wants it. But like I am positive because I know the pain that if I sent you a document that was blank and you sent it back to me the next morning, like I would be elated by that, in like I love that you were just doing that before you built, and it's like software, people, whatever, before you built any sausage machine around it, right?
We had
Like,
we had a several $1 million of ARR before we ever had software deployed to a customer.
yeah,
We like
that's incredible.
we
I'm
we
very
were
proud
we were
of you.
sharing we had large enterprises telling us to share them dashboards. We would send them links to an Airtable, and that's what they were using.
That's great.
Because like that's like just that's we were solving the problem. I often find that it's so easy to tell a startup that, oh, like I'm gonna buy your thing. You just need to do this one thing. And I think that's like the meanest thing you could do to a company is be like, and like you don't know how to say no, right? You don't want to hurt people's feelings. So you're like, oh, like, if you just had this one thing, I'll buy. Or if you just go and do this, it's just like, I think that's just like awful. Just tell people it's not valuable, And like everything else is an excuse. Like literally, like even like companies, like we never had a SOC 2 until like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like literally,
As the
we were working with
company
we were
filling
working
out-
with the biggest enterprises in the world, and we did
Yeah.
not have a SOC 2.
Yeah.
Like,
As the company who's like filling out security questionnaires for people
Yeah.
is not SOC 2 compliant.
Like
I just love that.
today we do, right? Like because the world's changed. But like whenever a company asks us, like if it asks you, oh, like yeah, you need to do this and that, like SOC 2, blah blah blah. What they're doing is they're just you don't have product market fit, because if the pain is high enough, if somebody like is if you're gonna solve their pain and it's high enough, they're gonna find whichever way to like get you into the company. And if it's not, they're just gonna make a bunch of excuses. And so I think oftentimes what ends up happening is a lot of companies just go and like try to get like a SOC 2 or these certifications, and they think all their problems around go-to-market are gonna go away. No. Like they still exist. Like the product market fit problem doesn't get solved. They're just gonna come up with another excuse.
Yeah. Sweet. My aside is over. Let's
No,
go
that
back
was-
to the regularly scheduled program.
That was a great aside. There's a couple of really good questions in the chat too I want to get to. So Joe asked, how do you know the answers to questions for their environment? Very specific to each company. So someone from the company needs to know, or who knows your infrastructure needs to help, right?
You'll be surprised how many people in companies don't know how their infrastructure actually works. Like we have to go in there and tell them, like, yeah, exactly.
no
Like
idea.
senior leadership, like CISOs, CIOs don't understand like where to go to like grab like policy documents or infrastructure documents from GCP, AWS, access controls, like who actually has like deep access to like the production environment. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to be figured out. Like that's why people get SecurityPal, because when we onboard you, we help you navigate all this, and document the exact posture, the exact questions. Why are we able to do that? Because we know what all the questions are. It's like imagine working with a company that knows all the questions to the test before the test shows up and can also help you pre-answer them. Like that's the advantage that you have.
So once onboarding's done, it's just rinse and repeat because the questions are, it's the same bucket of a few hundred questions, I would imagine. That's great. And then one other thing, someone asked about when people come back or the business come back and ask for specificity in certain areas from the questionnaire. So is that follow-up, that back and forth, something that is that a huge
Yeah, that's what we
part here?
help. I mean, it helps to have like a large on-call team of experts, right? Not agents, by the way, not AI agents and stuff like that. Like real humans that are available for you, right? We use AI, we deploy AI in different parts of our product, but like you want true assurance, you want experts guiding you through this process, through the back and forth. There's always going to be back and forth in these things because we live in everyone knows the term trust but verify, right? Famous sort of Reagan quote. But we live in a zero trust world today. It's don't ever trust, always verify, right? And that's how enterprises look at any startup. They're not going to trust you by default. They are going to be highly paranoid, and they're going to ask you questions over and over again. It's not just going to be once you're not just going to do the questionnaire once, by the way, you're going to do it every single year, especially if you want critical access to data. If you want to plug into a CRM, if you want to plug into some sort of like system, you're going to have to answer these questions over and over again, because that assurance that companies are looking for, that it's not binary. It's not like, oh, like, yeah, like I trust you, you're good or not. It's a constant test. They don't want to, by the way, like a lot of companies don't want to do this. They're having to do this because their customers want them to do it. So customers want them to do thorough assessments of their vendors. It's almost viral in that sense, right? And then there's regulations on top of that, right? SOC 2, ISO, key parts of these standards is that you do a thorough assessment of your third-party providers, especially the critical ones. And so,
So it's really
yeah.
that SOC 2 badge, that ISO badge, like not enough to eliminate these questionnaires from coming through.
It's actually, it's your gateway to questionnaires. At first people will say, do you have a SOC 2 or not? And then you'll get it. And then they'll be like, great, we're glad you have a SOC 2. Now fill out this questionnaire, like, and then the other thing is like, so that's part of the challenge. The other thing is, these sort of like questions, they're getting more complex, they're getting more nuanced. There's lots of like changes to technology. So like back in the day, the questions would be about barbed wire around data centers. Today, the questions are about like what LLMs you're using and how are you training them. So new innovations lead to like a different set of questions that need to be asked as well. And so like, those are some of the things that you really need to need to figure out. Yeah.
So the documents are getting longer and longer. Are you also finding that smaller and smaller companies, I don't mean like startup small, but just smaller in terms of employee headcount, are starting to require bigger and bigger questionnaires and security measures?
Yeah, I mean, I think like to a certain extent, every company today, there's a much higher like threshold. Actually, this is the sort of like raison d'etre, like the reason for being for SecurityPal in many ways, because like I always felt that this massive questionnaire I got in my last company, we were going up against LinkedIn, this large enterprise. They obviously have a team of lawyers and compliance people helping them through it. We didn't. We're a tiny startup. So in many ways, like all these like compliance requests, what they do is they create like a barrier to entry, right? And so that means that like startups are always going to be behind, right? And so that was really frustrating for me. This is why I wanted to start SecurityPal, because like I was like, hey, the best product should win, not the one that can fill out the paperwork the fastest, right? Like there's like, and so when we were working with the, like Airtable, Figma, like all these other companies, like, we wanted to like accelerate that type of innovation. And so I think these things actually prevent like innovation from taking place because they slow down commercial transactions. They're sort of like this sort of like barrier to entry against startups. And yeah, like earlier and earlier stage startups are having to comply with more and more rigorous standards. And that's just an enormous tax on top of companies. And that leads to a lot of deadweight loss. That leads to a lot of like startups that ought to exist that don't exist because they can't get through this hurdle. So like, this is why we're giving so much of our like platform away for free. Like I think like what's important, especially at like the earliest stages, is you just want to build something that adds value in the market. You don't want to compete on like how many compliance professionals and lawyers you have on your team. When GDPR first came out in May of 2018, we started seeing a lot more questionnaires. Like that was, I remember everybody, like LinkedIn got bought by Microsoft, right? And I was like, oh my God, that is the cheapest acquisition of all time, because it basically became illegal to build another LinkedIn. If you think about it, right? All the growth hack things that like LinkedIn did, which is spam like your network without your permission, pre-GDPR, it is effectively legal to do now. And like it's harder and harder to build out like those address books and social graph. So like every company, like you can't go out there and just like try to build another LinkedIn. It's just going to be incredibly tough. And so I just knew that was going to be like an enormously valuable company. And I knew anybody that was already on the other side of that barrier to entry, like anybody that already has like these enterprise relationships, it's a massive advantage, right? Like for Microsoft may never die as a company because they're in every enterprise, and they benefit from the regulatory wall going up higher and higher because they can comply with it. Because they're already on the inside, but the folks on the outside will be priced out. So how do you give the tools to startups to scale the wall, to climb the wall, to rocket ship over the wall, so they can actually deploy like much better products within enterprises than what the enterprises are using. We should all think about this in a much broader way. Yeah, than that, and so it's questionnaires. Yeah, like we're solving with questionnaires, but we see it as like, no, we're like literally trying to accelerate innovation. Like we think the faster the commercial transaction, the more innovation, the more humanity progresses. And like, and all these hurdles like security questionnaires, document requests, all these things are like just an enormous tax on startups.
Yeah, I love it. It allows enterprises to do business with more people than just other enterprises. I mean, it's really evening the playing field. I love that. What part of, I want to get into your founder journey and when you raised money, became profitable, and turned down money, all of that stuff. But real quick, for the audience, what parts of SecurityPal are free? I'm sure there's people in the audience right now who are struggling with this. Maybe they're decided to go up market. What parts are free? How can they get some help?
Yeah. So if you go to freetrustcenter.com, one of the products that we're giving away for free is every company, if you think about it, like every company goes to the vendor's website now today and tries to like see, do they have their security ducks in a row before they even like go into the procurement process. And a trust center, there's a lot of other companies that provide this, some paid, some free. We're giving it away for free as well. And the goal is how do you put like your best foot forward? So when a security leader comes to your website, that they know that you're speaking their language, that you're using their vernacular, right? Like, so showing the SOC 2, showing like commonly asked questions, putting your best foot forward at the very beginning of the commercial transaction can actually sometimes help deflect questionnaires. It can help sort of like navigate some of these investments. So often enterprises want to know that you've just simply thought about these issues, that you've actually dedicated some time and capital to actually like getting these things done. And a trust center does a good job of representing that. So we're giving that away for free. Very soon, we're gonna, a lot of people use like GPT, Claude to answer questionnaires. There's lots of hallucinations, context, and stuff like that. So we're working on how do we actually like help you take off the shelf LLMs, but then add like the custom instructions that we have and like just like the proprietary knowledge we have about like the most commonly asked questions, what types of answers are really good. That's a really effective way of sort of like communicating that information. Obviously like follow us because those announcements will come here very soon. Yeah, and our trust center today is used by companies like Snapchat, like Anaplan, like other like publicly traded company like Elastic Search, which is like one of the publicly traded company on the New York Stock Exchange. So and then lots of like startups. We want to make it really easy for startups to communicate their security posture in a really easy way without being like nickeled and dimed and charged like an arm and a leg for it. We just don't we don't think that's fair fundamentally. Yeah.
Yeah, and I dropped mine in there, retention.com and RB2D, the SecurityPal Trust Center. And by the way, my experience is like before we had something like this, there was like it's kind of like yeah, it's your gateway to the questionnaire, but it's like people are happily giving you the questionnaire because they know if you have this filled out, then like it's not going to be this like huge rock fight to like try to get what they need for their internal policy. You know what I mean? So in my opinion, the trust center like really facilitates like, but by the way, like if you're only selling the S&B, don't do it yet. There has to be a real need, at least mid-market, like, it's so yeah. Oh, you have a much better design one now?
Yeah, we need to upgrade your design. So
okay. Sweet.
So let's pivot the convo. I want to talk about kind of your journey. So you raised money in the beginning. Can you tell us kind of your journey from starting, figuring out when to raise, getting that idea, getting that MVP out the door, just through that very early stage? Let's start there.
Yeah, listen, I think like my capital formation I think in many ways, like your capital formation journey gets, you know, it depends on like the experiences that you had as a founder and like a startup, you know, employee or team member. You know, at my last startup, you know, we had all these like challenges around security questionnaires, but like fundamentally, I don't think we had product market fit in the market. And so like we kind of raised money, like we raised like $5 million from some top tier VCs in San Francisco at my previous company. And we had all this pressure to grow with a product that like truly did not have product market fit. So we closed all these like annual multi-year deals, but then like a bunch of churn hit and like, and one thing I really wanted to do when I built SecurityPal was like wait as long as possible to raise capital, and hopefully we never needed to raise capital again. You know, like that was like something that I really intentionally wanted to do. Not because I had anything against VCs or anything like that. I just wanted to make sure like I built a real company where, you know, I wasn't like where we had real revenue coming in and I was like keeping track of the costs and the operations and stuff like that, the gross margin, all these like metrics that really matter that I know, Adam, you've done such a good job of like educating the entrepreneurs in, right? Like dollars in, dollars out, like those things actually matter. And so
real business metrics.
yeah, like real business
there's like 0.1% of companies that those don't apply to, but like everybody else, when things are going great, it doesn't matter. When things stop going great, it really matters. And it can ruin your life if you're not doing it the right way. Right. Like,
yeah. So
I love what you're talking about. Keep going.
And so, you know, I wanted to provide value. I wanted to be able to charge for it. I wanted people to tell me that they see enough value to pay. I wanted them to pay more over time. I was just going on that journey, right? Of like, okay, these are all like the good things. Fundamentally, from a first principle standpoint, like these are the good things you want to do while you build a business. You want to be referred, right? Like one thing that I like have historically just like kind of I've hated the concept of the NPS score. Like I just think like instead of asking the NPS score to your customers, just ask them to refer you. Like it's like that is like the true NPS score. It's not the 10 that they say on a survey. It's whether they're opening their inbox and like looping you into an email thread. Like those are the things that we like really we're laser focused on, like fixing early on. And then, you know, we got to 1 million in ARR before we raised. And, you know, it's funny that article, like it was a little frustrating. So that article hit, it was, you know, I got labeled as like the seed strap guys. Technically, like what I raised was a Series A. I'd never raised like a pre-seed or a seed round. So I got labeled as this like seed strap guy, and then like Gary Tan like blew me up on Twitter and like sort of like labeled me as like, oh, like, you know, it's all fun and games until like somebody gives away your product for free and plays the capital game and stuff like that. It's just like, you know, like I think if you're building a company, everybody has their own journey. You should go on your own journey. Like I really think there's like capital formation, founder fit. Like we talk about product market fit. We talk about like, you know, like founder market fit. I also think there's like founder like capital fit, right? Like what type of capital are you as a founder just like best designed to take advantage of? And some folks are great with like venture capital. I think it looms large on everyone's minds because, you know, raising money is extremely well favored by the LinkedIn algorithm. And so like, you know, it's just like constantly, right? Like it bubbles up. I think the other thing that that makes raising money extremely alluring is, you know, when you're not raising money, nobody knows about you till the IPO. So like, can you really like wait for 10 years without your mom being proud of you till like the IPO? That's like a long journey to go through, right? Whereas like raising money gives you like those dopamine hits every 18 to 24 months. And like, it's hard for you to like say no to the dopamine. It's like the marshmallow test, right? Like most people, it turns out fail the marshmallow test, right? Like it's like, you want the dopamine hit every like 18 to 24 months that like, you know, everyone's saying like, oh, like you're doing so well, like all these things. So I think like there's a lot of like psychological things there. I think, you know, the VC community has done a really good job of making it seem like, you know, you have to raise money also as that path. And I think, again, I took venture capital, right? So like I decided to go there, but I took it on my terms. I also like, you know, I also like didn't want to raise after that. You know, I wanted to grow and get to profitability like March of 2020, you know, 2022, we were like spending a lot of money growing really fast, but you know, we were also like 14 months away from running out of money, and it was the SaaS crash all of our like small customers were dying. A lot of like enterprises were like, not interested in what we were doing because they were trying to people were trying to save jobs and stuff like that, save their own behind. So those are challenging times, and that's when we really pivoted to like, hey, let's just focus on closing large upfront contracts with enterprises. Just like really get the metrics dialed in. I think one of the things that a lot of people overlook when you're building a company is when you're not constantly raising capital, you then get to build the muscles that really matter for you over the long run. Like I'll give you a perfect example of cash collection, right? Like net 15 in, net 30 out, right? Like net 30 in, net 45 out. Like just like 15 to 30 days afloat on like your balance sheet can be the difference between you printing like a cash flow positive quarter or like, and a lot of companies that raise venture capital, they don't really think about their collections all that much, right? And so like there's a lot of muscles. I like to say, if people fast, like, do like the intermittent fasting, there's this concept called like autophagy, right? Like autophagy is like the process that kicks in when you intermittent fast, like all the bad cells in your body, the cancer cells get eaten away. I think there's this concept of like, if you're a little bit hungry for capital in a business, autophagy also applies to businesses. Like you end up making the tough decisions. You end up like, if you're running out of money, like you end up like having the tough conversation with the executive or like the team member. You end up being a little bit more shrewd about like what your ICP is versus not. So like, I think these are good sort of like, it's a good mindset to have. And I do think more companies will probably want to raise capital if they're going on a 10 to 20, 30-year journey. Hopefully you don't need to, but I think the journey to capital formation is going to evolve. Because I think the outcomes for companies are just so much greater today. Like there's all these like $100 billion companies, $1 trillion companies, $10 trillion companies. And so I think like it's important for you to like really realize what sort of journey are you trying to go down. It's okay if you're just trying to like flip your company in 4 or 5 years. It may be a different type of capital formation strategy you take. I'm trying to build this for many decades to come. So that's also informed the type of like control I want to have over the company, the right sort of like board and the right journey that I want to go on. Yeah.
Yeah. I love all that. I think it's great. So your story's awesome. And I love these points you make about like, there's a real social status thing to raising money, and then like knowing that, like, this sounds stupid, but like knowing that people are like doing the math in the back of their head about like the fact that you're worth $50 million now or 100 million or whatever, right? Like, because that's happening every single article that comes out, and it makes you want that, and it makes you want to do that. But like the reality of it is, I was talking to Alec, my LinkedIn guy, yesterday about, before I even like knew that Clay raised again, but like they're just the example that's actually working right now. It's like they can just keep, I'm sure it's all secondary at this point. It's $3.1 billion. It's just like funny money at this point, and like they just are, they are crushing the game right now. But like, if I was a betting man, I would say almost everybody who's raised VC is in a position sort of like this. I've raised $80 million. We're kind of stuck at 10. And like, I don't know what to do. If I'm on, it's every year, it's a new plan for the board. They get on board, and then like every year, nothing happens, right? Like, in that, I love 2 things that you did. It's like, one, you waited to raise in the first place because probably that guy who raised $80 million didn't actually have product market fit when he raised. And then you had this like epiphany to like, sort of get out of the game of like doing that. And you built your sausage machine to like not require incrementally large bundles of capital. I just don't think most people really appreciate the fact that most VC businesses don't make the founders any money at all. And it's like so easy to say at the beginning of this journey when it's super early, and like either you got product market fit or you didn't, or there's just this incredibly fulfilling thing about having a bunch of people sitting around working for you that like fools you into thinking you have product market fit. And then you're like, I'm going to be the next Cursor, even though I'm basically a marketing automation tool tied to ChatGPT. So I'm going to go raise it $300 million, even though I have 4 million in ARR, and it's going to be great. Like it's so easy to fall into that, right? Like, and it's so hard to I have fallen victim of that before. Like in 2022, I thought I had a unicorn on my hand. I was talking to a bunch of like, people I need to do this big secondary round or whatever, even though we're profitable. It's really hard to resist this temptation of like being the next deca 100 trillion whatever, when like maybe your business isn't meant to be that,
Yeah.
right? Like I know that our B2B is not going to be a huge company. Guess what? It's 6 million ARR right now. We got 3 people. I think I can get it to 15. That's probably better than most 9-figure ARR companies for their founders if you just sit there and let it run and keep making it better every day, right? But it's like, look, it's even hard for me, like watching Fixer. I'm like, those guys, I don't know if you guys know who Fixer is on LinkedIn or whatever. It's like their NRRs are insane. My churn fucking sucks. I'm like, how am I not in a space like that? Like I'm experienced enough to know that if I have that thing nailed down, I can create a really big company, but like I don't, and I know this product will never have that, right? And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's just, I even like feel this pain as someone who I'm so convicted that I'm on the right path for myself, right? Like
I think I think you have to, like I don't think it's good to personally for me, like this is a journey that I've been on, so I can't speak for others, but I would say there was a point where I was maybe a zealot about one worldview versus not, like, or maybe I was a zealot about you absolutely need to raise venture capital, there's no other path. And then I moved to the other way where like I don't want to raise any because it's just awful. And like finding a happy medium of like what is right for my business at that point in time. Like I've always thought about building a business through multiple business cycles, right? And so if I'm trying to build this company for 30, 40, 50 years, hopefully it'll outlast me. I'm going to go through, every 5 to 7 years, there's a business cycle. So how do I prep for that, right? Like when we raised money, capital was really cheap. So we accumulated. And then, the world blew up. So we hunkered down. Does it make sense to like, strategically accelerate based on just like what we're seeing? Again, that's just, you gotta, running a business is not like driving automatic. It's very much driving stick shift. And like, it's very much like, like figuring out like when to accelerate and when to slow down and what parts of the business you should accelerate while holding others at bay. And those are like strategic decisions that you have to navigate as a CEO and as a leadership team. And that's where like the real test I think is, right? Like, that's why it's fun, because when you're building a company, I think is like it's sort of like the mental Olympics, right? Because you're trying to see like, am I good enough to make all these strategic decisions at all these different points? And like on the other end comes out like, am I going to end up like Dylan Field at Figma, or am I going to end up as like some like guy that is like no name and had to shut down his company, and that's a little bit of like that journey that you need to go on, and you got to sign up for that. You got to be okay with like, there's the famous like Rudyard Kipling quote, like poem, if I know it because I'm a massive tennis fan. It's like right before like you go to Wimbledon center court. It's right above the players as they enter center court. It says, if you can meet triumph and disaster and treat those imposters just the same. And like, how do you got to be okay with triumph or disaster, right? And like, that's like the journey you're going on as like a founder and like and like a CEO. If you're not okay with that, if you're just seeking triumph, if you're like, okay, like if you're doing the math, right? If the calculator app is the most popular app on your phone because you keep multiplying like your equity stake by like the value of the company, and you're doing all these different scenarios. By the way, for most VCs, for a lot of like startup employees, it's LinkedIn's not the most popular app. It's the calculator app, right? Because you're calculating all these things. You're calculating carry. You're doing all these things. And so like if you find yourself doing that over and over again, you're probably in the wrong business line because you're not doing it for the right reasons, right? I'm happy to say I haven't opened the calculator app in a long time.
That's great. I'm embarrassed to say that I have, not recently, but like, and whenever I do, nothing good has happened. When I forget about the calculator for like 2 years and I look back, I'm like, oh, we're in actually a pretty good place now, you know? But when it's like calculator time, it's like it never
calculator
plays
time
out.
it's not a good
Never
time.
plays out how the calculator says it did, or it should.
So
Anybody in the audience relate with what I'm saying about calculator time and that being a bad thing? I want to know.
There's an interesting chat too happening or conversation happening in the chat too, kind of around this idea of just needing to drive manual, as you're saying, right? So we had a couple comments in here. Product market fit is a spectrum and a continuum. You can have it one day and it can be gone the next.
It's true.
Stephen added to that and said, market dynamics accelerating. The change of market dynamics are accelerating. So literally, I mean, you said it earlier in the conversation, Pukar, like someone could be giving away your products tomorrow, like just a player out of nowhere that you did not hear about before you went to bed
Yeah.
the day before. And I also just love I like this driving manual thing. And I also just love this defining success. Sometimes younger founders will say, I don't get, older founders will talk a lot about this idea of needing to define success, figure out what you're actually going for and what you want to get out of it. You have to couple that with what are the dynamics? What arena are we playing in? What is reasonable? How much can we disrupt? How much value can we bring? And yeah, just being realistic on success. It just, when you have that North Star of how you're defining success, that North Star blends into all of these tiny decisions that you end up making along the way. What you emphasize, what you ignore, what you chase, all of that. So it
Yeah.
almost blends its way into so many things that you can't even like quantify it. So
I think one thing I do want to say about like Clay and Fixer, as far as I know, I think both of those teams spent a lot of years like toiling.
Yeah.
I think Fixer had a company for many years. Great team. I think Clay like was
Clay had, I think, 0 revenue for 8 years.
yeah. So like by the way, I just want to say, right, like UiPath is a company we look to often. It took them 10 years to get to $1 million in ARR. They ended up becoming the most successful exit out of Europe at that time. They went IPO. It was like a $50+ billion company at one point. Shoe Dog, if anybody's read Shoe Dog, a Nike founder. Great book. One of the best business books, I think. 10 years, Nike was a side project while this guy worked at PwC, right? Phil Knight. There's all these like other examples like this. Even like NVIDIA, like look at the NVIDIA chart. How much conviction would you have had for 18 years to like just go flat? Because there were people on the board that had that conviction but like I doubt it. I doubt many people could just like ride the slog for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Because again, if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, then you're constantly thinking about what am I going to say to my friends? How am I going to look in front of this person, that person? You have to again like be mission aligned and oriented. Anyways, yeah, Shoe Dog is a great book. Yeah,
great book. What audience? What's your favorite business book? I want to see if we have some common overlap.
And by the way, Adam, Pukar, what are your favorite business books? 0 to 1, says Richard.
Yeah. I don't want to look at the answers because it's going to influence my decision. Hold on.
Okay. There's some pretty good ones in here.
Okay, I got mine, and I'm sure you're not going to be surprised. Like the most influential, and this was before I even started to start up, it was 37 Signals Rework, because I was coming from a Wall Street job, and I showed up at work every day at 6 a.m. I wore a suit and tie. I took the subway, it was just this Manhattan thing. And in 2012, when I decided I wanted to do this, the idea that you could I'm in Aspen right now, the idea that you could live in Aspen in the winter and ski every day and still be professionally successful and work for yourself, it was crazy. People weren't doing that, but these guys were evangelizing the possibility of it, this lifestyle business. So I think that I don't agree with all of it now, and I think you need to be more oriented towards growth than them. But that was mine, the most influential one.
Pukar, you got one? You got a rec before we sign here?
Yeah, I mean, I guess Shoe Dog is one that I keep referencing because I think it had a big influence. There's also he spent some time in Nepal, which I thought was pretty cool because we have an office there. I think another book that I think is a little bit underrated is this book called Alchemy by Rory Sutherland. He is Ogilvy executive that writes about it's called the dark art and curious science of creating magic in brands, business, and life. And I think so much of SecurityPal's early product was really psychology rather than UI or UX or even a product, right? It was this feeling of not having to do the work. What sort of feeling are we trying to create in our customer? What sort of customer experience are we trying to really nail? And so much of the best products, I think, are less about technological breakthroughs, and it's about rearranging what already works in the world to deliver a much better customer experience. And if you don't have to have a breakthrough in LLMs, you just have to figure out how to rearrange the pieces to create like the perfect sort of like work of art for you, if you will. Yeah.
Love that. And I
I
agree
love
with
that. Mine's Purple Cow. Do something different, folks.
Purple Cow is so good.
Don't just be another cow. All right.
Yeah.
If that's one takeaway. Don't be another cow. I'll tell you what, SecurityPal is a purple cow, helping everybody sell to enterprises, evening out the playing field there. I really love it. Pukar, thank you for coming on, my friend. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
if folks want to connect with me, there's another gentleman with my name, so I'll just copy my LinkedIn handle here for folks. Feel free to connect, send a message. Listen, hopefully this was valuable. Like I said, you don't need to buy our product. Like, go to freetrustcenter.com. We'd love to help you guys out. If you're growing, if it's becoming too overwhelming, you can be a customer like our B2B. It's been amazing working with Adam, and love seeing your content as well. And thank you so much,
Hey,
Pete,
thanks, man.
for putting this
Thanks for
together.
being a part of the content. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah. And yeah, loved F star
Yeah,
my
by the way,
startup.
this is like never a come here. I mean, besides the pitch slap, it's like we don't invite guests to talk about their companies or whatever, but like this was just so painful for me that like I want people to know that there's a solution for it, you know. So yeah, I'm glad you were able to come on. And I love how you're doing it and you know, the way you continue to do it. So I'm here to try to help you out any way I can, my man.
I appreciate that, Adam. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Cheers.
Take care,
Perfect,
everybody.
folks.
See you next week. We got Kyle Coman, who's the global VP of marketing at ClickUp. We're going to talk about, I don't know what we're going to talk about. I love their TikTok game though. So we're going to talk about that. How to get engineers to use your product with TikTok.
Beautiful. We will
Sweet.
see you next week.
Bye.
All
Bye,
right. Take care. Bye.